Hi everybody, it's Tina Plackinger. Welcome to my channel. Yeah, I've done this, this is the third time now. And for a half-hour videos, doing them 3 times in a row really becomes a burden. So Satan obviously wants to try to grab me by the short hairs today. But I bind him and I rebuke him in the name of Jesus. And I tell him, Satan, get thee behind me. For it is written that I belong to the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. And I am doing this because I am supposed to. I cannot have started January 1st with making videos on YouTube without reading December 31st. And that's why I'm here today. But I do want to sum up a couple of things. December 31st last year, I was in my mother's basement in Chicago. And at that time, I had been talking to Sergeant Scott Zapanik, who, because of the pillars that run people's lives, we no longer associate. But he was the first person that I had spoken with on the phone in decades. And I couldn't even finish a sentence. My mind was fragmented. I couldn't complete sentences. I couldn't stay focused. And if it was not for that man, I probably wouldn't have been making videos. So, I am very, very grateful for those days. And I am also very, very grateful that the Lord does remove from my life people, places, and things for reasons. Yeah, December 31st is my mom's birthday, and so she wanted to go out, and I didn't. So what I did was I decided to take the remnants of a fence. You see, at my mom's house, I needed to have a privacy fence put up on one side. I wanted the whole thing enclosed, but she didn't. We needed it done, or somebody like myself was going to end up in jail. So we ordered this fence, and after a couple of guys came out from private fence companies, they were so weird, and they were so freaked out, and they were so scared, like somebody had already approached them, that they scared us, and we really didn't want them around. So we figured that we would go to Lowe's, you know, get a team from Lowe's. Certainly, we shouldn't be gangstalked in that manner. So we had Lowe's come out, they measured, we had to wait, we kept telling them that we needed it done by a certain date and all that. Big mistake, big mistake. If you have perpetrators that listen to you in your home and listen to all your phone calls, don't ever say what you need. Don't ever act like you are under pressure, or it's very important for you that this has to be done, because they will use that against you. So anyways, they came out, they built the fence. But the fence was going like this. It was not a good fence. So they were going to put us through hell. They were going to put us through a living nightmare because we wanted to get this privacy fence put up. The guys came out, we had to wait for them. They came out, they said, yes, it's a very bad fence. We need to tear it down and rebuild another one. Really? So then we had to wait for that demolishing crew to come in and tear that one down. And then we had to wait again for all of that to be approved, and then it had to be put back up. One of the contractors was going to take the old fence, and I thought, well, why? Why should he take the fence? You know, the fence is ours. We're the ones that have gone through all this headache. So I decided to cut some of them in half and get them down the basement stairs, and I was going to use them as a backdrop. So that's what I did New Year's Eve when my mom went out with her 90-year-old friends. I stayed in the basement. January 1st, with my phone propped on an old wooden A-frame ladder down in her basement. That was my first video that I made, reading Treading on Serpents, the daily devotional that I believe every targeted individual, anybody who is bullied, gang-stalked, and harassed, would feel very comfortable having. And I say that from the bottom of my heart because of the most beautiful, wonderful emails and comments that people have sent me about how they get out of bed because of this book, how they don't feel so alone in the world because of this book, how they can actually get to the grocery store and get food in their cupboards and in their refrigerators because they've read a few pages of this book. You know? Yeah. I never wrote this book to make money off of it. And I was targeted getting this book made. I never told anybody except for Zeph how much this book cost me. But it had to be done. And it had to be done that way. And things weren't $100 for this change or $400 for that change. Every change had to be $1,400, okay? Every little thing was sky high. And there was no talking to anybody over there in another country where I had to go. Everything was done by email. And I would have to know something, but they wouldn't respond to me on a Friday. So I would be wringing my hands walking through my mother's house because I didn't hear from anybody, and I wasn't going to hear from anybody until Monday. And it really was the hardest thing ever, was to get this thing in your hands. And they still made a big error right in the middle. Right smack in the middle of the book, under July 10th, they put January. How does that happen? Well, when you're a targeted individual of gang stalking, they will ruin whatever it is that you are trying to do. So, and then the first 3 months, it was selling for $30. But I was making $1.67 on each copy. And I was like, I don't understand this. You know, I spent thousands on this book. And you guys made all this money off the book. And now you're charging $30 to sell the book to somebody. And I'm making $1.67. How can that be? So it was one thing after the other after the other. I never wrote the book to make a dime off of it. I just wrote the book because the Lord made me so completely miserable after putting it on the shelf. He made me miserable that I needed to finish it and get it out there. And so I did that. And then I had to make videos. And then after I made my first video where I almost cried, the only thing I could do was read. I couldn't even talk. I could just read. I hadn't talked in years, you know, and I could only just look at the book and read. And then the following month, I lost my little dog, Tootie. And that was the first time I cried, you know. All gang stalking stuff. All gang stalking stuff. So I went through that with you guys. And then I got a job. I got a job because I needed to pay off this book. And I needed a job because the way they gang stalk me is to overcharge me for everything. Okay? And so, on my videos, we talked about workplace mobbing. We talked about a $40 haircut at a reputable, high-class salon where I walked out with one side of my hair longer than the other. And I was very upset about it. And when I went back to get it straightened out, was looked at like, yeah, it is. It's not even. But like I was overly upset that I shouldn't have gotten so upset. We talked about neighbors. We talked about the phones being tapped. I talked about veterinarians. Veterinarians who were contacted before I ever got my dogs over there. Okay. I was charged $3,500 to get a kink out of my neck from a chiropractor. $3,500. I had to buy a plan, a 3-month plan. $2,500 for a bunch of tests to be run on my dog to then finally tell me that he had hookworms. So the little job that I had gotten was necessary, but they do know exactly how much money you make, and they're going to make sure that you save none of it. You came with me when I traveled back to Georgia. And before I ever got into the state of Georgia, as I just got into the state of Georgia from Alabama, I got an $800 ticket for being in the wrong lane to exit off the freeway by a Georgia trooper. Then I got to the front gate and was confronted by a neighbor witch. Got to brush them off like mosquitoes, okay? And I was ready at the front gate. I was ready this time. In case they put concrete or glue in my padlock, I had a 4-foot-long bolt cutter. I had a air compressor. I had batteries and mag lights and not just air pistols, but I had a real weapon that was left from my mother. So I was ready for whatever. I got in the gate. Everything was fine. No problem with the padlock. Got into the house. Everything was as neat as could be. Everything smelt nice. Everything was nice and clean. It was wonderful. Until I saw the mouse. Then I realized that the mouse, they had gotten into my survival food bucket, which I didn't have properly sealed. And they carried rice all over the entire house. Okay, in my Bounty paper towel rolls, the section with the cardboard filled with rice when I pulled it off the shelf. My towels that were neatly folded on the rack, I pulled them up, rice in the beds. Okay, then I found a big nest in my raincoat arm, nests in my drawers, nests everywhere, nests. 8 dead mice in the washing machine. I mean, they were having a feast here. So, now I learned that, well, okay, they not only defecate everywhere, but as they move through your house and through your drawers and through the closets and through everything, they are urinating. Had to get the dogs to the vet so that they could get their lepto shot for wild animal urine. So, and bleach everything down and throw everything out. I threw away my mink. I threw away all my clothes. The dresser got thrown out. Everything got thrown out. Everything got thrown out. And the house got sanitized. And that was very traumatic. A lot of loss. Had a big insurance policy for replacement value. But because of the pillars that run the community, I was awarded absolutely nothing and no help whatsoever. And I had a policy for replacement value. So that was a bummer. And some of you people stepped in and helped me. And you know who you are. I am forever grateful. Yeah. And then very shortly after that, I got injured. And it's still not healed. It's been 7 months now. And for the last 14 days, I've been doing this castor oil heat pack treatment. Castor oil everywhere. Very messy thing. I've been doing that. Trying different supplements and so forth. But, yeah. Then, we talked this year about being alone and, trying to get vehicles fixed and not come back with something else broken on them, which is just impossible. I talked with you about troubleshooting the lawnmower and trying to get it started again after it ran for 2 days. It wouldn't start anymore. Trying to get up on the roof after I was healed a few months. Get up on the roof to patch up a shoddy job that the roofers did. All of it is even the mice coming in the house was because of the plumber contractor guy that, made a big mess underneath and pulled down all my beautiful insulation that I had underneath the house that I spent months doing, It's like there's human rats, the perpetrators, okay? Bishop George Bloomer talks about this spirit that goes through your life like a mouse, like a rat. Okay, they come in through a crack in your life, and then they're a rat. Okay, with the long tail and all that on fours, and then they stand up so they look like a person, and they go through your entire life just nibbling away at everything while they are defecating and urinating behind them. And they keep going through your entire house and your entire life, nibbling away at everything, defecating and urinating. And then when they're all done getting your father's inheritance or getting whatever it is that they want, okay, they will then go back down into their original form of a rat and crawl on out and go away. So, I dealt with the human rats. And this time I ended up dealing with the animal rats. So, got that all taken care of and all that. Gosh, we talked about July 18th, Zeph Daniel's precious daughter, Francesca, had her 1 year, I don't even know how to say it, anniversary of her death. So July became the Suicide Awareness Month. And so that was real special to me and everything. I learned a lot on this channel. I learned that I can't please everyone. I learned a lot that a lot of people would love to try to run my channel by telling me what to do and how to be and how not to be and stuff. I learned that some people don't like to be pinned. And I apologize for that. And that will not happen again. I have pinned some people out of love and admiration. And some of them I don't see anymore. So I really apologize for that. A lot of TIs, they don't want to be out there in the limelight. So, yeah, I learned a lot. And this channel has helped me immensely. You guys have helped me immensely. We talk about stuff on this channel. We talk about everything on this channel, and that's very good. Some people I have had to block that got nasty, and that's not cool. Or mean, and that's not cool. So, it wouldn't be right for me to end the year without reading December 31st. And so, if you will just excuse me for 1 minute, because this is the third take and I want to make sure that I have enough time to read this. So just give me a second here to look where I'm at. Okay, fantastic. Yeah, I told the Lord, I'll get a camera. So I got a camera, and then my partner, Swanee One, he said that the camera wasn't very good. It didn't have a stabilizing thing on it. So I sent mine back, and he did too. And, right now, the Lord is not telling me to make any changes. So, I'm not. All right. Sorry for having to talk fast like that, but I needed to get all that out. That has been a very special year for me. I've shared a lot with you guys. And you know, for me to not make these videos would not be healthy for me. Because then what happens is I start to dwindle. And then I start to evaporate. You know what I'm saying? It's not good. So these last 3 weeks have been nice because, you know, I've had to do the castor oil thing. And that's a 4-hour-a-day ordeal. The last thing I need to do is, you know, try to fix myself up for a video after that. But I just so much appreciate you people, you know, from going, you know, from in my mom's basement, trying to make videos in between the furnace going on and off, and the dripping in the sink, and the phone propped up on an old ladder. It's just amazing that a lot of healing has come about on this channel for all of us. Because together we can do this thing. Not alone, but together. Beware of false prophets, which come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ravening wolves. Matthew 7:15. This is down at the junkyards. 18 years ago, 16 years ago, whenever it was, when I was pulled out of my life and displaced. It was after midnight, and I was rummaging through the infamous purse dumpster, some well-known spot where local merchants collected designer handbags for third world countries. Go figure. A car rolled up and a guy yelled out his window, "You still here?" He said it like we were friends or something. I had been there an hour already, and it wasn't like I didn't sense 1,000 eyes on me at all times. I ignored him, but watched closely as he got out of his car. He walked to the back of it and opened the trunk. "When was the last time someone gave you something?" he hollered. Uh-oh. My heart started to race as I intently watched him fumble around in his trunk. He managed to pull out a weird-looking instrument that I would later learn was an engraver. He then held up a delicate, long-stemmed wine glass, and with a smile on his face, he proceeded to engrave these words on it: "Tina, I love you and will always be with you. Love, God." I would rather have had my name engraved on my Maglite flashlight. Being down at the yards for 2 years with no electricity or running water, what was I going to do with a wine glass? Then he asked me to sit with him in his car, but I didn't. I crouched down on the passenger side with the door open, and he sat behind the steering wheel. After he took a big snort, he offered me some white powder that was piled high on a piece of paper. I told him that I didn't do crack, which was true. "I was on my way home to get some sleep when I got the call," he stated cheerfully. I just quietly watched him while my dogs laid behind me within reach. I knew that people were sent to me for a reason. Suddenly, he nodded off for 10 seconds. When he came to, he abruptly shouted, "There's no getting out of this no matter what you do." Bingo. That was it. The message he was supposed to deliver me. "Oh, but I shouldn't worry," he told me, "because my name was written in the book." I guess that meant the Lamb's Book of Life, which I knew nothing about at that time. So of course I worried. What book was my name written in? A book for what? Hits? Kidnappings? harvesting organs? What book was my name written in? The guy had more Christian knowledge than I did at the time. Oddly, he kept nodding off. And at that point, it never crossed my mind that the powder might have been heroin. Something that could have done me in had I participated. Finally, after a few minutes, he came to again. You will go to heaven, he mumbled. Not like me. I have to stay here. And he soared into a deep state of sobbing that seemed to last an eternity to me. And that did it for me. The light bulb finally went on after 2 years. Locals had been referring to that area as Hell's Gateway. And because Satanists have a knack for saying things backwards, it didn't dawn on me that I had been stationed literally at the gates of hell. I was finally convinced that I had been sent to a place that had an opening, a porthole, into another dimension for demons to come and go. Before he nodded off again, I had an urge to blurt out, "So when am I going to heaven?" I really needed to know when they were planning to kill me. "Oh," he moaned, "you're going to live a long life." And again, he was out like a light. I quickly and quietly grabbed my few dumpster purses, along with the engraved glass, and my dogs and I made our getaway. 5 minutes later, I would be down the road, parked for the night, where Mama and Pretty Girl, God bless their souls, would curl up next to me. The prayer for the day: Jesus, please let next year be better than this one. We stay in the fight. We focus on Jesus. We live one day at a time. And together, we can do this thing. Thank you for joining me this past year. Thank you for helping me heal. Thank you for allowing your own healing on my channel and through my book. Thank you for all the wonderful comments. Have a happy new year and a safe one. And I will see you soon. God bless you.